record you on, let's see, my microphone is kind of falling apart, but I'm going to interview on this guy, and we'll quote you from the recording, so the entire interview won't be in the segment.
Okay.
It'll be,
Okay.
because we have to include the ladies who make the kimchi at the Yeshil Bazaar,
yeah,
you know?
Doesn't matter, yeah.
Okay, would you first identify yourself, just like introduce yourself and your title at the university?
Mm-hmm. Hi, my name is German Kim. I'm professor at the Kazakh National University, named after the great scholar Al-Farabi, and I have in the position of the director of the Institute for Asian Studies.
Excellent. Can you tell me about when you think about Koryo saram cuisine? What are the first dishes that come to mind? What are you most?
Yeah, of course, I remember from my childhood that we have eaten rice, but not just separate rice, yeah, but rice which we put in the cold water. Nobody in South Korea eat in this way the rice. But this became for Koryo saram like a food, and we call it pabi muri, which pap means rice, boiled rice, and muri means water. Yeah, and actually it isn't a dish, in fact. It is like a bread for Russian people. We can tell that bread is not a meal, yeah, but every meal is eaten with bread. So we, Koryo saram, have eaten all foods, appetizers, soups, and main dish with this pap and muri. And in the old, as I know, in the old time, in the ancient time, in all Korean peninsula, all people have eaten this way. And then the culture of the cuisine and the culture of the meals changed quite drastically. Now in South Korea, it's nobody eaten this, but we still, yeah, prefer to eat rice in water, in the cold water. Yeah.
And so it's not breakfast or something. It's every
no,
meal.
Any meal.
Yeah. Okay.
Every meal is every meal. If rice, yeah. But recently, less and less more young people eat Korean style. They eat international. Yeah, international.
Yeah. How many Koreans live in Kazakhstan right now, approximately?
Yeah, approximately the 108,000. Quite precise data. 108,000.
Okay.
Yeah, and we make just 0.06% of the total population of Kazakhstan. Mm-hmm. But Koreans in Kazakhstan is very visible minority, and every time when I ask how many you are, and I tell there's so few, because of many circumstances and factors, the Koreans are really very visible in politics, in the business, culture, education, and all spheres of the social life of this country.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So can I ask you a historical question?
Yeah.
So the Korean community of Kazakhstan originally came here in 1937. It was a horrible situation. But how did they hold on to their food ways? I mean, like what stories do we know about how people were able to maintain this and how they ate?
To be exact, the Koreans lived in this area already during the Russian Empire, but very few people. And then At the end of 20s, in the time of the mass collectivization, a couple of hundreds Koreans were invited to Kazakhstan to develop rice paddies here in Kazakhstan. And then 1937, entire Korean population from Far East was forcibly relocated to Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. Mostly they arrived to Kazakhstan. And to deported Korean was given time to prepare, for the long travel. And what they have taken with them, first of all, food, and rice, and all salmons of all species, because they were agricultural, they were peasants, mostly, and they knew if they arrived in new place, they need seeds, and they took everything what was able to take, and secondly there were books, textbooks of Korean language, and some of the Romans and old books also. And when then the Koreans arrived to Kazakhstan, first they were established the Korean kolkhozes, collective farms. They were ethnic homogeneous, and that's why they kept these customs. They used this dialect, Korean. They cooked Korean style, like in Russian Far East and like in Korean Peninsula. But what we have to know that the food in Korean food, I mean in Korean Peninsula, is also very diverse, and we can divide into South Korean and North Korean, and our ancestors are from North Korea, and that's why our cuisine is have North Korean roots, and the South Koreans, when they try to eat local Korean food, they say, "Oh, that is from Hamgyeonpukdo," for example, these noodles in cold water, naengmyeon, and we call that kuksu or kuksi in our dialect, is different. Or this kimchi, there are hundreds of kimchi kinds, and the kimchi which is made here by local Korean is very similar to North Korean style. Or in Korean food, very important, crucial important are two things. One is a bean sauce. We call it kangjang. This is liquid, and then the soya paste, we call it the doenjang. And now in many supermarkets you can see the shelves, the section of the shelves with the South Korean food imports, because local people, not only just Koreans, but Russian, Kazakh, and so they like this Korean food, and you can buy it in this sauce and paste made in South Korea, and they are very different than what was made by my mom or neighboring, old ladies.
Right, like gochujang, for example. Isn't that South Korean, or is it gochujang?
Gochujang. Gochujang is South Korean.
Yeah. Okay.
It's South Korean. Isn't our babushkas or grandmothers and our mother, they made this gochujang home, and is very different by taste, by color, by ingredients. And I miss always the gochujang made by my mom. and I cannot actually eat the kimchi, or I dislike to eat the kimchi or this gochujang or doenjang or this gangjang made by other ladies, because my mouth and my taste, my tongue, everything, even my stomach, want my mom, made by my mom, yeah.
Right.
And and the cuisine, the Koryo saram cuisine is very different than from South Korean, not because of origin, North Korean origin, but because of effects or influence made by the cuisine of other peoples. So it's just quite usual. You have seen maybe in the restaurant, the menu, and also if you are invited by local Koreans here in Kazakhstan or in Uzbekistan, doesn't matter. You can see then in the table local Korean food, Russian food, Uzbek pilau, or Georgian shashlik, or Russian borscht, or Ukrainian borscht. Is very mixed, and there are also many what is made in the fabrics and the plants, yeah, like sausages and cheese and so on from worldwide, yeah, and
so, if you don't mind me asking, when you said that the Koryo saram brought seeds, do you know which seeds?
Yeah, first of all, rice.
Okay.
Then of all kinds of vegetables, because the Koreans, they wanted these native vegetables,
right?
And they didn't know are these vegetables here in Kazakhstan or in Uzbekistan, like onions or a cucumber or potato, but not potato, of course, yeah. But these beans, that's very important.
The long beans?
There are different kinds of beans. There's the red beans and these green beans, yeah. And that was important. But they took, of course, with them paprika and pepper. Yeah, paprika is very important. Red paprika, and maize also. So
corn?
Maize,
maize,
and because maize was quite different than local maize, yeah, and this maize was used also for the Korean bread, which we call also in in Korea 찰떡. This is a festive food. Yeah, is made by the special species of rice. It's like a beaten. It is a boiled rice and then beaten to a mass.
Yeah.
And the Japanese, they have similar food. And when initially the harvest of rice was very poor here, they mixed the rice with this maize, and this was also a special species of maize. Yeah. That's at my PhD students.
Oh, of course, yeah, go ahead.
Ефрем.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, thank you. Я заберу, я что-то забыл с собой это самое письмо. Я его распечатал, подготовил.
Okay.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
Yeah. I trust him. The seal of my institute is good.
Very exciting.
Planning to host a conference, international host, end of this week.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
If you have a possibility, please join us.
Thank you. So
Yeah.
nice.
How long you'll stay in Almaty?
I've been here for a few days, and
Okay.
I am like staying for like 6 days total, but I leave tomorrow morning.
I see. We'll
But-
start the conference and.
I will follow it though. I will look up the
Oh yeah,
coverage.
Zoom.
Yeah.
Zoom. There will be scholars, some prominent and the young scholars from 14 countries.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Are the Americans coming?
The Americans will not come, but in Zoom, the Americans, Germans, Italians, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear it.
Okay, let's continue.
Okay, so we've talked about the history. We've talked about some of the differences. There's also the language. I guess what has it been like to see the emergence of South Korean culture become very popular in Kazakhstan for you?
First of all, because between Kazakhstan and South Korea were established diplomatic. The proselytism of South Korean Protestant Church was aggressive. They had at the end of 90s here, just in Almaty, over 50 South Korean missionary churches. Yeah, because the communism as idea disappeared. There was a vacuum. And then the people were frustrated with all this hunger, this disorganization, no electricity, and, no money, no medicine. And these South Korean churches, they were a kind of, clubs for the elder people. And the third group was the South Korean students. And at that moment, so in the late 90s, we have over 2.5 thousand South Koreans here in Kazakhstan, quite a lot. And then the South Korean began to introduce the Korean culture and Korean also food. And initially, the local people didn't like it, actually. There were some couple of Korean cafes and restaurants. Only South Koreans visited them, no local Koreans. They disliked Korean food. And of course not for other ethnic groups. But then more and more people were able to travel to South Korea, especially local Koreans. And they were surprised how developed this South Korea. They became proud of the native, historically motherland, ethnic motherland. And then began this Korean wave, Hallyu, and the Hallyu and K-pop, they played a crucial role. The entire population of CIS countries, including Kazakhstan or Central Asia, they began to be fans of Korean, these dramas and K-pop and also Korean food, because they have seen in these dramas how the Koreans are eating, and they are eating with a great appetite. And the food in Korea is like a cult, like a religion. It's the meal eating is like
like a religious experience.
Like religious, service, and I was so surprised when I've been the first time in Seoul and the South Korean. Every time they have asked me, they greeted me, not good morning or good day, good afternoon. They were asking me. I understood as a questions. Did you have a breakfast, or did you have the lunch? I said, why you are interested in this? But
love that.
I realized that it was, hello, how are you? And how are you? It means, are you not hungry? Because in Korea was poor country for thousands of years, and the people were starved to death. Yeah, and for them it was very important to the food, and yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's actually beautiful, yeah, and I like to see the first. I was shocked that the Korean people are eating with loud sounds, yeah, chewing, and that's not our culture. That's not the European culture. And then I have asked it once, why you are chewing so loudly? And they said, we show with this that the food is delicious. And if the people are eating without appetite, they are sick or ill, or they are rude to show to the host that the meal is not good, and they don't like the meal. Yeah, and then when I have seen that the people are looking strange at me that I'm eating without these sounds, and I began to produce these sounds. Yeah, and then when I've been in Japan, I've been so 3 times so for a long period, like 1 term or 1 year in Japan, and I realized that Japanese people are eating without any sounds. But then once when I've been half of a year in Hokkaido, and Hokkaido is like a home of this ramen noodle, and it is a street food also. I was in one, very famous, always crowded this ramen cafe, and I heard this, very loud sounds how the Japanese eat this ramen, and I was so surprised. Yeah, and then I heard only ramen. The Japanese people eat with these sounds only ramen. Yeah, noodles. Yeah.
Food is like such a personal thing. I think it's really interesting. So, and going back to something you said, I remember from the documentary that maybe the religion between, like, when the South Korean missionaries were coming, some of the Koryo saram here felt like their religion was different than what the South Korean missionaries were bringing.
Yeah. In the Soviet time, all religions were oppressed, yeah? Mm-hmm. And then the people born during the Soviet time here in this region, they became atheist, no religion. Yeah, and actually it was not possible to believe in religion because in Kazakhstan, in the Soviet time, there were only 2 mosques, and now there are 5.5 thousand mosques. In every village is a mosque. Why? That's because of religion. No, because the Islam became like the symbol of independence, sovereignty, and the ethnic origin of Kazakh, because the Kazakh people, they were Muslims, before the Soviet power, conquered this Kazakhstan, and these Korean missionary churches, initially they were for South Koreans and for all local people, and mostly in these Korean missionary churches we are old Russian ladies or other non-Muslim people, And then slowly by slowly, and Korean old ladies began also to attend to the Korean these churches, because it was a kind of club. After the service, they have eaten together. The church gave free the meals, and then the church prepared small presents every time, and then some churches organized the trip to South Korea free. And many local people wanted to travel once to Korea, and if they attended the church for 3-4 years, then the pastor organized, because all these churches, they were branches of the big churches in Korea, but the first Korean missionary church, they came not from Korea, there were no diplomatic relations, but from the United States, from Germany, from Canada. They were really very big and rich churches. Yeah.
Did the Koryo saram maintain a religion during their, during the Soviet Union at all?
No, they
okay.
were atheists, yeah.
Okay.
And then, the first maybe decade at least, these old local Koreans attended the churches, attended the service, being non-believers. They just attended because for socializing, because just to get some assistance, just to get the chance to travel to Korea. Yeah, that was not a religious institution, the same is with this big mosque in Almaty. When I see on Fridays a crowd of young people, and I asked them, do you believe? They say, no, that is just our culture. That's the religion of our ancestors. Yeah, they don't believe. They just attend the ceremonies of these religious services. Yeah.
Do you worry that whether it be religion or food or K-pop, do you worry that the Koryo saram are losing their unique culture?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and I'm telling about that, I'm writing about that, but only some part of a local Korean, the switching to South Korean lifestyle, to South Korean language, this Protestantism, but the majority of the local Korean, they still keep our old customs and traditions. The one example that twice in a year, all the people here in all towns of Kazakhstan where Koreans are living, they say it's Korean Day, a day of Koreans. Why? Because in this day, all Koreans, they don't go to the office, they don't go to the lectures in the university, they all go to the cemeteries to held these ancestral services. Yeah, only we, nobody. There are just 2 days in a year, in the spring and then in the autumn. Yeah, and if you go to the cemeteries, and that is not a Korean cemetery, that's cemeteries international. Yeah, because we have two kinds of cemeteries: international for all people, and then for Muslims they are separate. But if you go there, you see that all Koreans are. If you go then that day to the cemeteries, I meet all my friends, colleagues, and in every part of. It's crowded by Koreans.
Of course, yeah.
And we still prefer the local Korean food to South Korean. It means at home we are eating still as our parents. yeah, not of South Koreans. And we cannot eat South Koreans just because we don't have ingredients. The South Korean cuisine is have a lot of maritime products. Yeah, we don't have it at all, and we don't like it also. Of course, now these dry fishes or frozen fishes or some these sea products are imported to Kazakhstan, but we don't like it. Yeah, we used to eat now more meat, yeah, than fish or like sea cucumbers and so on. Yeah, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much. So nice to meet you.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
This was great, and really, I learned so much from you. So thank you for taking the time.
Okay.